fascinating to you too, and you're going to want to stay for the whole show because it's going to be really great. And I want to just go ahead and welcome Dr. Lundgren to our show. Welcome, Dr. Lundgren.
Thank you.
Yay, welcome to Smart
Yeah,
Health
thanks for
Time.
having me. I appreciate you taking the time out.
Well, I know we were having an earlier conversation where I was telling you about how I've actually found praying mantises. Well, a praying mantis. Found them next to my front door as well, and I'm always excited when I find one because they're just so
Yeah,
interesting.
they're pretty cool.
Yeah, and so whenever I find them in my garden, and the ladybugs as well, I think I'm doing a pretty good job as a gardener because I
Right, right.
those are
That's a
the
good sign, right?
yeah, those are the
When
good
you see
guys.
when you see insects in your field, that's a good thing. And this is something that a lot of people don't realize. I mean, when I tell people I'm an entomologist, a lot of times they say that the only good bug is a dead bug, right? This is not this is not the truth. I think that yes, we have identified. I think entomologists kick around the number around 3,500 species of insects that are pests out there, right? And these things are, and they're important. We need to manage these pests that are out there because they're eating our food, they're destroying our homes, they're biting our children in the night. And insects have actually they've killed more soldiers.
Welcome to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden. Take a walk on the wild side, where the birds and the bees survive. Right before me, my newfound hippie side.
Which is probably your favorite radio station, if I'm guessing right. I know it's mine because we have some incredible shows on KCAA, and these are shows that you're not going to get to hear just anywhere. These are pretty special shows, and a lot of what we talk about here. That probably helps. I hope everyone heard me in the beginning. Um, I, testing. Anyway, if you're looking for information that is ahead of the curve, that you're going to hear about before you're going to get told from regular media, and you're going to tune into Smart Health Talk. And if you like feeling good, being healthy, taking good care of your family, doing the best you can, making sure that they're as healthy as they can be, as smart as they can be. Yeah, we're actually going to talk about that a little bit today too, because the choices you make can determine how smart your kids end up and whether they have autism or not. How many listeners out there, I wonder, know another parent with an autistic child if you don't have one yourself? And that's because we now, it's like over 30% of the children are autistic. And I interviewed Dr. Stephanie Senna from MIT, and she told me that it could be as much as 80% in 10, 20 years. And I'm your host, Elaine McFadden, and I'm a registered dietitian. And so when I hear something like that as a public health nutritionist, what do you think I'm thinking in my head? Oh, this is just, it sounds like insanity. And I start thinking, who's going to take care of who? If 80% of our children are autistic, who's going to pay for all the health care for the rest of their life? Who's going to take care of each other? If everyone's all messed up in the brain, it's going to be kind of hard for all of us to take care of each other. And so these are the kind of numbers we're talking about, and these are very, very scary. But there's even something scarier happening right now. Picture this in your mind, everyone. I told you I'm a dietitian, so food's my thing. And I want you to have the very best food of all. And I'm sure that most people will agree organic is the best. And so what we talk about, some of the things that we talk about on this show is how we're going to make that happen for everybody at a price that you can afford. And we can do that. Actually, the whole world should be growing organic because we could reverse climate change if we just chose organic no-till farming. And I would just like to welcome anyone that hasn't, if you bought something organic before, please, if you haven't bought something organic in a while and you have bought it before, go back there and check some of the prices, because many times on the shelf, the organic can actually be the same price, especially if it's on sale. And when you have a choice, choose organic, please, 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 please. It is so much better for your family. Okay, well, we were just talking about the other really scary thing that's happening. And for those of you that listen to Smart Health Talk, you might have tuned into our show where we had a very special group that is fighting the Environmental Law Center. They are fighting to get a law passed, and it's California AB 1810. That's 1810. And this bill will, believe it or not, you're gonna be what, Elaine? You that has to be a worthless bill when I tell you what it's for. It's so that you have the right to save seeds, like seeds like tomato seeds and squash seeds and cucumber seeds, that you can save those seeds and that you could share them with someone else that lived farther than 3 miles from your house. That a farmer could save his seed and then plant that the next year instead of having to buy GMO seed that comes with all kinds of extra fees and means that you can't save the seed next year if you wanted to, if it's genetically modified. So this law is going to make it so that we can do that, because they're going to take that right away from us, that we will not even be able to keep the seeds. Now, I had a very special song to go with that, Carlos. Do you have the people song? And I want to play a little something for you here, because this
People.
No, this is a little bit different there, Mark. That's Mark. Are you really running for Senate, Mark?
I am.
Oh my gosh, our own Mark Westwood right here at KCAA. And this is a great guy, I can tell you. He used to run a farmer's market even. I know he knows about food. So he scored high points on my book. Hey, you go, Mark. You go. I believe in you. Hey, I'm going to be plugging you. I'm going to be plugging you for sure. Okay. All right, everyone. So go ahead and play that, Carlos. I got a little something for you.
Come on, you world, won't you give it down?
Oh, the other one. Wait, we played the wrong one, everyone. We're going to play that one for you a little bit later. Yeah. Gino Vanelli.
From the day. Wish I could do something about it.
We can do something.
When all I can do is to pray.
More than pray, but a little bit of prayer never hurts. That's right. There's powerful people out there, and I have a guest that we're going to be playing my interview. This is a world famous guest, and in this interview, she talks about these powerful people. And she talks about going to a meeting in India in 1987. And in that meeting, as her witness, she listened to these people lay out their plan to take over the global seed supply. It was their goal in 1987 to make it so that farmers had to buy seed from them every single time, that they planned to pass laws for trade agreements so that we would be locked in to only buying their seeds. that they would be genetically modified so that farmers would just have to buy from them. They couldn't buy heirloom seeds. And this is what's at risk, everyone, are heirloom seeds, the non-genetically modified seeds. And as much as they try to tell you, oh, nature's been genetically modifying for hundreds of years, that is such bull, okay? That happens in a high-tech laboratory, okay? I mean, with millions of dollars worth of equipment that took years and years of research to develop. So I really don't think nature had access to that lab. No, nature uses a little bit of a different method, and it's selective breeding. And it only goes together with things that are meant to go together. We're not putting fish with plants or human with plants, which is the kind of stuff they've been doing in the laboratory. And I'm telling you, give these people an inch, they take a mile, because now they just came out with, as I mentioned last week, the CRISPR mushroom, which is not regulated. They have changed the DNA. It is not a normal mushroom. And of course, as I told you over and over, the main purpose is to increase shelf life because we want to increase profits for these big corporations. And we're talking about 5 major companies here that are pretty much controlling the seeds, the pesticides, and then we have about 10 food companies that are pretty much controlling everything that we eat. And this is, you have no concept of just how big some of these companies are. We're talking billions in sales every single year. We're talking about companies that control the commodities. They control the sugar. They control the flour. They control the grains of the world. You know, there's just like a handful of companies that are switching this stuff around. We need to take it back to our community, to the people around us. And if you listen to our guest for today, Dr. Vandana Shriva, I have so much trouble with Indian names. One of the most incredible people on the planet right now. She's actually received a Sydney Peace Award for her work. Many other awards as well. That one really stuck out to me because supplying people with healthy food does bring about peace. Think about how we have unrest. Unrest is when people are starving, when they have no money, when they have no jobs. Then we have revolution. And don't think that some of these big food companies have the word revolution has not went through their mind. And why is that? Because us, you listeners, you KCA listeners out there, maybe you're listening on 106.5, maybe you're listening on 1050 AM, I don't know. You could actually go to kcaradio.com and click Ustream, and you can see me right here in the studio. That's right, we got our camera going, and you could be watching us just like television. And I am so fascinating to watch. I know you would just like absolutely love to tune in and see my latest outfit that I have on today and my hairdo. Yeah, it's just really happening here at KCA. Okay, well, you know, we're talking about, you know, this global conspiracy to take over our seed supply. And these companies, what they've done is they're kind of like mercury, you know, that kind of like the blobs just kind of like come together. They just like absorb each other and become like one bigger blob. That's pretty much what's happening. And we have like five seed companies that control over half of our seed supply. This law, this AB 2470 California law, which has been which they have, the powers that be, these companies have tried to pass all over the world, including Europe and China, and they told them, screw you, that's no way we're letting that happen. We're not going to take away the right to have seeds and exchange seeds and share seeds and save our seeds the next year, or even start a seed company. Yeah, They want to make it so we won't even be able to start a seed company. And get this, only the Secretary of Agriculture for the state of California gets to decide what will be grown in the state of California. I am not kidding you. This is not science fiction. This is absolutely true. They want to make it so only Sacramento gets to decide what food is grown in our state. Now, are we going to sit back? Are we going to do what, Carlos? Play that second one for me.
Come on, you world, won't you give a damn?
Yeah, let's give a damn.
Turn on some lights and see this garbage can. And time is the essence if we plan to stay. Death is in
We can't wait. We got to get started now. And I tell you, filth is become our home. And these products that we're growing are creating poison that's going, and we're poisoning everything, our water, our air, our soil. Not just that, but our ocean. You know, these poisons go in our ocean. Not just that, but plastic, billions of pounds every single day is going into our ocean. We are living in filth. We are living in trash. You see it everywhere. Please recycle. I have been working and working and working on it. I have a webpage up under our recycle of all these different products that you probably wonder, can I recycle this or can I not? And I tell you, I was all ready to have the California Department of Recycling on the show. But oh my gosh, you know, like when I started looking, I started collecting. I spent hours and hours looking through the internet, collecting do's and don'ts, what you can recycle and what you can't recycle from all over the country. And what I found out is it contradicts itself. You can recycle something one place, but you can't recycle it another place, and on and on and on with all these different products. No wonder people are confused. I am so confused. And I am just thinking, I am looking at this, I'm like, this is so wrong, the whole system. After I looked at that, I am just like, this whole system is screwed. This is a no-win system, the way we have everything set up. People like Europe and Germany and places like that are so much more ahead. They have like 8 trash cans that they sort everything. They recycle everything. I am going to keep working on this project. I'm actually going to go to recycling centers. I'm going to videotape what it's like there. I'm going to go to all the different kinds of recycling centers. And I'm gonna videotape that. I'm gonna put that on our website so you can start to get an idea of, you know, what it really means for recycling and what it looks like in there, how they sort all that stuff that we put in the recycling bin. And I know I'm putting stuff in there that does not belong in there, but I don't know what belongs and what doesn't belong. Not completely. I know some things for sure, but other things, gray area. Just not sure. And I want to get the truth. And I feel like I really can't get the truth unless I go and look on that, well, I'm sure it's like one of those things where just the stuff just keeps coming and coming and coming, like on I Love Lucy, the conveyor belt kind of a thing that I used to work at a nut factory that had that. And so, you know, that all this stuff is just coming down there, and part of it is going back in the landfill. So even though you put it in the recycle trash can does not mean that it's going to be recycled just because you put it in there. They sort it out, and part of that trash is going into the landfill still because they won't recycle it. But I just say, you know, the way that we're doing things, it is just too confusing. And if I have, like I went to a big food show and I got a name tag, and that name tag was made of paper, it was made of cloth, and it was made of metal. I don't think it had any plastic on it. It might have, but it was like several different things. So I don't know, you know, can I put that in the recycle bin? There's all these different things connected with it. It's like many different things. So how are they even going to recycle that? Okay, well, I did have some announcements, and then I want to get to our interview with Vandana. And if you please, stick around, and if you have to leave, you could find our video up on YouTube, but I hope that you're going to stick with us. This is a very, very powerful interview. Her feelings on this, I can't tell you how important this decision in California regarding our seeds is. We all have to take a stand here. Everyone else in the world has stopped them. Let's not let California be the weak link here, and let this legislation get passed. Now you have to write down 2 bills. The first one is California AB 2470. And then you have to look up California AB 1810. And I hope I got 1810. And that is the one that will overturn the first one, the 2470, that will help to make sure that our rights as citizens stay intact. So we have to support AB 1810. And we have to defeat AB 2470 and stop it in its tracks. Okay, so Vandana is going to really help to explain more, and I would greatly encourage you to click on Ustream. If you click on Ustream, you're going to be able to watch the video and the interview that I had with Vandana Shriva. And she is known all over the world. I call her the female Gandhi, because she's kind of that way to me, and what comes out of her mouth is knowledge that we all need to listen to. Okay, now I did have a couple things that are going on in the news. Now, we were talking about autism earlier. Well, a new study just came out that aerial spraying, which they will spray for a couple of different reasons. With a plane, they're spraying pesticides. They can spray a field like that. Or they've actually been spraying all of us over in the Inland Empire over and over and over again with pesticides in the name of mosquitoes, which only 63 people died in the entire country from West Nile virus. Yet they dump all these pounds of pesticides on us in our neighborhoods, in our home, in our yards, at our homes, coming into us and invading our personal home without our permission, for the sole purpose of applying a toxic substance that could make us very ill, cause cancer, cause all kinds of other side effects, and affects children much stronger. And do you want your baby in the middle of summer to be breathing pesticide through the window as they sleep? Because they come and spray this in the middle of the night, and they really don't tell you ahead of time. They are very weak about putting signs out. And myself and some other friends of mine were very upset when a friend was going to have their organic garden, their chickens, their tilapia fish. And they had like something else going on back there too. I'm trying to remember, but they had it all going, and Organic Garden was helping to relieve the symptoms of asthma with her son. She was feeding her family out of that garden. It was saving them money. It was very, very important to her to not have any pesticides on their food. She had gotten rid of everything that was not organic out of her kitchen, and here they come with the truck from the Vector department to spray her garden with pesticides. Now, to me, that's a big invasion of my rights, because we have alternatives. We have public health. This is what I live for. We educate the public. Guess what? They get it. When we tell them, get rid of standing water around your home, empty anything right after it rains that has water in it, because the mosquitoes will breed in there. People can get this. We can teach our kids. They can be our best teachers sometimes. There are so many things that we can do. There's inexpensive dunks that you can use in water areas. And they just use a bacteria. There's nothing toxic in them to kill the mosquitoes. It's such a perfect system. So aerial spraying in the name of mosquitoes is adding to the autism problem, which we already have a bad problem. So we were so mad, I called Channel 7 News and they showed up at 3 o'clock. And we were out there blocking off the streets, keeping the trucks from coming, and we successfully did that. They were kind of surprised we were there, same as when we showed up to the board meeting, but I highly advise you to start getting involved. We don't have to take this. Our voices are very powerful. I called my Senator Aguilar and explained to them about the two bills I told you about, the AB 2470 and the AB 1810, and told them about what's happening, and they actually called me back from the Washington office as well to verify what it was I was talking about. So they were actually really interested in what I have to say. And, we have to educate our legislators. We think that they just know all this stuff. They don't. We have to teach them as citizens within their category, their territory, okay? So that's been going on right now. Right now, everybody. Washington, D.C. is ready to make a decision on Roundup glyphosate, and they want to approve it for another 15 years. We already know that this is cancer causing. We have got to stop this. I went through a complete list of pesticide. Well, it was this huge list of pesticides. I don't know how complete it was, but out of all these hundreds of pesticides / chemicals, it was a cancer. It was classifying them on how much of a risk of cancer was associated with them that we know of right now. We really test this stuff. And don't fool yourselves, listeners, okay? Because the government is not testing this stuff. They read over whatever the maker gives them and they decide if it's good enough or not. And if the research makes sense to them, that it would be safe. So we're just testing the maker. The government is not doing research. They have $0 for that. They have 0 labs. They're not doing any of that. We are just trusting them. And I found chemical after chemical that said that it probably is cancer causing to humans. And then when I go and look up that pesticide to see, are we still using that chemical pesticide? Every single one that I looked up, and I looked a dozen of them up, we are still using. We are using in products. We are using in pesticides, herbicides. We are still using them. And yet, it's probably cancer causing to humans, okay? Just to let you know, probably cancer causing, so, but we're still going to let you use it. So they're allowing all of these things to be used that are cancer causing. Are we going to allow glyphosate to be approved too when we have a chance to stop it right now? All of us should be screaming at the top of our lungs, calling up our legislators, say, do not allow glyphosate to be approved for another 15 years. And I tell you, we got them running scared because guess what happened? They posted some trumped up research by Monsanto in response to the World Health Organization study that said, from all these top oncologists in the world, that Roundup is probably cancer causing, okay? And so they got a bunch of people to get some studies. All they did was use studies that Monsanto did, no other outside studies. And they used that and came up with a new study on the studies that says Roundup is not cancer causing. So the government should ignore the World Health Organization and instead they should approve Roundup glyphosate for another 15 years. We can stop this, everyone. I'm telling you, this is right on the edge. So they put that research up on the FDA website and all these people started calling, asking questions, bombarding them. So they took it down. Ha! Red and scared. That's right, because they know a revolution. Oh man, I wish I would have had the Beatles' Revolution to play right now. That would have been a good one. Okay, what else is happening? Okay, Quaker oatmeal, they're being sued because they tested their oatmeal and it's full of, guess what? Roundup glyphosate. Every bit of oatmeal they tested had the glyphosate in there. So those of you chowing down on some Quaker oatmeal tomorrow morning, just remember you're having some glyphosate with that oatmeal, just to let you know. Okay, you may have heard our incredible reefs, one of the most beautiful things on this planet. We have the Great Barrier Reef down in Australia. We have reefs here off the coast of California. Off Florida, the coast of Florida. And the acid is just eating them up. The acid in the water, the acid from the rain, the acid from all these pesticides. You know, we can say bye-bye to our beautiful reefs. They're going away fast. And I mean, at the rate that they're going, it won't be long. So we can just sit there and watch it happen, or we can stand up and do something about it. You may have heard Johnson & Johnson talcum powder causing ovarian cancer. They have been paying out millions and millions of dollars of lawsuits to women that have gotten ovarian cancer. And I tell you, I never trusted Johnson & Johnson. My oldest is 30 years old, but I tell you, that baby never had one drop of Johnson & Johnson's product on their body. I refused to buy any of that stuff. I knew back then. I just read the label. I'm like, this can't be good. And sure enough, took years to prove me right, but I was right again. They're apparently applying this talcum powder to your genitals can cause ovarian cancer. So if you're doing that, you might want to stop. And you may want to stop buying Johnson & Johnson products too. That would be my advice. Shower to shower, don't. That was part of it. The talcum powder and the shower to shower were the two big culprits for the ovarian cancer. And so they're using ingredients like 1,4-dioxane and formaldehyde. Okay. We got about $110 billion nuclear waste dump that needs to be cleaned up in Washington. Maybe we should turn to nuclear for our future source of energy. Or maybe we should be thinking more about green energy, where we don't have Fukushimas happening, or $110 billion worth of nuclear waste to clean up. Okay, we've got, something I found, up in, anyone, if you know anyone that lives out in the Nebraska, Ohio area, there's an Omaha law firm that is testing farmers for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Apparently, they're seeing very high rates in farmers of this cancer. Now, if you stayed here for the whole show, that's making total sense to you. You're like, oh gosh, Elaine, that was like all the stuff that you were talking about earlier. Yeah, well, that's going on right now. And people are starting to call for Costco to get rid of the Roundup. I have to say, I haven't saw that commercial where they were putting the Roundup on the phone for, I don't know if it's Lowe's or Home Depot. But I tell you, those Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, Target are good friends with Monsanto. They sell a lot of their products. They are selling most of their products. And I learned something about Monsanto this week that was a surprise to me. We're thinking that most of their business is from seeds and pesticides. Well, we're wrong, because that's not where most of their business is from. Most of their business is actually for the pet industry. And not only do they put pesticides in flea collars and tablets for your dog to swallow, flea shampoos and all this full of pesticides, they make other products too. They make beds and all kinds of other things. They've really gotten big into the pet market. And so actually, that pet market is $49.2 billion in annual retail sales. Monsanto Pet, they kind of branched out. There's the Pharmacia and Monsanto. It used to be one. Then they split out, and I'm sure that was totally to their advantage for farm subsidies. And I was just studying about farm subsidies too, and they're finding, a new study was finding that farm subsidies are actually, what they're doing, they're not really helping with the crops. They're helping to increase the land value. And over 50% of the farm land is not being farmed by the owner. It's being farmed by someone else. So that person is getting screwed. The person that's ending up on the good end of the deal is the landowner, because the subsidies from our taxpayer dollars, which are so messed up. That's why I'm doing this research. Because we're spending all this money on things that are not making us healthy. They're making us sick. So that makes no sense. And it's only to support these big corporations so they can make money on their GMO products. GMO cotton, GMO corn, and GMO soybeans. There's 3 big ones for you right there. And you know that like 75% of what you buy in the store has corn in it, or made from corn. 75%. And most all of that is GMO corn. You know, they made it so we're eating just a small amount of food, where, like Dr. Lundgren said, where we used to have hundreds of crops, hundreds of different crops, we now have 3. 93% of all the seeds in the world are gone in the past 100 years. Here we took all of the time of the planet, you know, evolving to create this wide diversity of seeds, and in 100 years we destroyed 93% of them. Shouldn't we be proud as humans? I really think that we can do better. I have hope for us. I think we can do better. Okay, so just a few products that you might not know are actually Monsanto products. Amdro, Ironite, Pennington 7. Those are all. Then we have Smart Seed, Rebels. Then we've got the other... where was the other products? I know Cadet was one of them. Let's see, where'd that go? Oh yeah, Cadet. We have 4 Paws. These are the pet products. KT, Pinnacle, Silas, Super Pet, Zodiac, Pet Select. Oh, Petco is another huge seller. You know, that's where they're channeling all those pet products through Petco. So Monsanto and Petco are pretty good buddies too. And they have production facilities in all kinds of states too. And they can't wait. Here, Monsanto supposedly doesn't have like all this cash or something. I was reading they were trying to claim that. But they have like $995 million to build a new facility where they're going to manufacture dicamba, which has the 2,4-D in it. And I mean, this stuff is like toxic, Ancient Orange stuff. And like, why are they building this huge plant when they're actually closing other ones? So I don't know. It doesn't... I just look at everything and I just see that we're not using our money the way we should be using our money. Well, I want to go ahead and get to our video. Oh, shoot. Was it like 20 minutes long? Oh, it was? Oh, crud. I thought it was like 10 minutes. We're not going to be able to listen to the whole video, but we'll listen to most of it. And if you want to listen to the rest of it, then you can go to the YouTube channel. and catch the rest of it. And please listen to some of the other videos that we have there too. Okay, Carlos is going to cue that up for you. And this is Madonna Shriva, a global advocate for us and our health. All right. Well, I want to get to it because I only got 15 minutes here. So I'd like to have some pleasantries, but I feel like our time is really important and everything that you have to say, you know, we can make a change. So we did have a Neil Thotpar from the Sustainable Economies Law Center on our show last week, and he was explaining to us about the Seed Exchange Democracy Act. And this is where we're fighting, actually, just to have the rights to share seeds with each other. And I know that seeds is actually, to correct me if I'm wrong, it's kind of the core of what you've dedicated your life to, is the right for people to have access to seeds to grow food, seeds that were not genetically modified, for one thing.
Well, I've dedicated the last 30 years of my life to actually saving seeds, building the movement for seed saving and seed freedom, and resisting 5 companies controlling our seed supply and imposing, on the one hand, genetically engineered food on us through genetically engineered seed, but also through this taking patents and collecting royalties and pushing small farmers into debt. The seed law of the kind that's in California, I don't know how the word democracy has come into it. There is no democracy in that act. This act is basically saying, A, beyond 3 miles, you can't exchange your seeds. 2, that you cannot use public money to develop alternatives that are needed today in times of climate change. So it has a research agenda dedicated to GMOs. Yes. But another one is an anti-democracy clause, where given that California and many counties have managed to be GMO-free, like Jackson County is GMO-free.
Right.
And this act is a preemption act. It is the equivalent at the state level to the Dark Act. The Dark Act is the act which has been nicknamed the Dark Act as a denial to Americans of the right to know what they're eating. This is the act that is being used, is being developed and being passed through Congress and Senate in order to prevent states from having their own GMO labeling law, like Vermont now has. Because more and more counties are making decisions at their level about what kind of food, what kind of seed, the California seed law is basically saying no level of decision making below Sacramento can make a decision on seed.
Really? So
yes,
us personally,
large elements of this act, and if you go to the Seed Freedom website, which is the seed movement globally, last year I actually came to California and did many trainings at the Heirloom Expo and produced a whole document called Seed Satyagraha. Now, seed, of course, is seed. Satyagraha is Gandhi's word for the force of truth. And we use the term seed satyagraha to both speak the truth about seed, but also give a call for not cooperating with unjust law, like Thoreau did against slavery. like Martin Luther King and the civil rights
And
movement.
you're talking about us as citizens.
Yes.
That this is the action that we need to take as citizens.
Exactly.
We need to recognize this as an unjust law.
But I'm asking you to go and read and circulate that Seed Satyagraha document because it has all the elements. It is not just about small level seed exchange. It is about killing democracy. This act. And every time such acts have been passed in India in 2004, we fought against it through the Satyagraha. 2014, they tried in Europe. We worked with European parliaments, made 1,200 amendments. That act had to be rolled back. Colombia, similar acts had to be rolled back. Chile, these acts had to be rolled back. So California, it is not about just seed exchange. It is of taking away the rights of citizens.
And why seeds? You know, what do they see as the power in seeds and controlling the seeds and therefore controlling people?
Well, the first issue is that food begins as seed. All food begins as seed. So to control the food system, if you control seed, then you got the ultimate control. As I have often said,
people.
Yeah, as I have often said, you know, when Henry Kissinger during the Vietnam War used the term that food is a weapon. And he had said, when you control arms, you control armies. But when you control food, you control societies. But if you control seed, you control life on Earth. You control the renewal potential of life on Earth.
What a visionary. He totally saw that. He totally saw that back then.
So what you need, but he didn't see it in a positive way. He wanted to use it as an instrument of control.
Oh, that's how he was looking at it.
Well, Henry Kissinger, come on. He wasn't a liberator of the peoples of the world, you know.
He's been responsible for how many deaths?
Yes. So the issue, why is the seed important? Because not only does control of the seed mean control over food, but control over seed and imposition of GMOs means super profits. I started saving seeds because I was at a meeting in 1987 where the poison industry that's destroying the health of the planet and health of people actually said as much straight. They said, we will do genetic engineering in order to take patents to make sure only our seeds are bought by farmers and they don't have their own seed. And we will create international free trade agreements with clauses of intellectual property rights that make such regimes the only way. So we are talking about a very fundamental totalitarianism that has been imagined by the 5 poison makers, who are now seeking control over the seed, and already they control large parts of the seed supply. Hundreds of thousands of seed companies have been
under their control,
bought by them, owned by them, or licensed to them. And that's another reason it's very important to recognize that the rights that we as citizens have to defend is not merely the right to have 5 little seeds in a seed library, but to be able to have seed businesses that bring good seed to the market. Seed businesses have rights. And this law makes all heirloom seed businesses illegal. So it's not only about seed saving. It is about seed saving, seed exchange, seed breeding, seed selling, and the right to make decisions about seed. So it's a very broad, very broad law with huge implications. And I do want to tell Californians who think they are the most evolved in democracy that this kind of law has been knocked out in every other part of the world, and it would be a shame if Californian citizens get misled that this is only about a little seed library in a little corner, it won't affect us. It's taking away your rights, including the rights of those who would work, who are working hard to bring you good seed for your gardens.
And what about contamination?
So the sources of non-GM seed have to be defended as businesses just as much as businesses that are non-GMO food producers have to be there to be the countervailing force to this toxic industry.
Are our seeds at risk of contamination globally
Of
by
course they are.
GMOs?
Even before they're at risk of contamination, they're at risk of disappearance. 93% of the seeds of the world have gone because of industrial agriculture.
Well, I know
We
that
have our biggest extinction in the world. Sadly, most people who look at extinction only look at wild species. They don't look at agricultural diversity.
that is such an important point. I mean, because the diversity is really our security.
It is,
future.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
we lost
Again,
that diversity.
I would come back to the fact that the California seed law is not just about keeping a space open for seed libraries. It is about having diversity in our fields so that we can deal with climate change. Diversity on our plates so that we don't have deficient diets and ill health, which is the subject of your talk.
How should we feel about food? What has happened between people and food? The disconnect. What have we lost that we should be feeling about food?
Well, you can never disconnect yourself from food because you live because you eat. But if you eat toxic food, then you're a diseased being, which is why the epidemic of new diseases is so severe. We've never had cancers at the rate people are getting cancers. Obesity is a total contemporary disease of metabolism. Linked to it, diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular, neurological problems, and all of these have their roots in the diet, in the way we grow our food and what we are eating. So what we've lost basically in handing over power to 5 corporations, 5 seed corporations, 5 trade corporations, 5 processing corporations, literally 5 giants who are writing the rules of trade in the world. And these giants are not just stealing our freedom to have good food. They are stealing our...
Well, everyone, that was Dr. Vandana Shrava, and that is on our Smart Health Talk YouTube channel. Please go and find us. And I just want to thank you for tuning into Smart Health Talk. I'm Elaine McFadden, your host, and you're listening to KCAA, and we have Cannabis Corner coming up next in just a couple minutes, and I hope you're going to stick around with that. And a lot of you may be kind of curious about some things to do with cannabis. Maybe as a public health dietitian, I recommend it for people to use for medical conditions especially. It's something that I know people have used and it works, and why not? It's legal. It's legal now, everybody. You don't have to suffer anymore. You've got other choices. So that's coming up right around the corner, and be sure and tune in next Tuesday at 7 o'clock for Smart Health Talk, and we'll have another special show planned for you. And please, when you have a choice, choose organic. We want to take care of you and want you to be healthy and not get sick, okay? So give it a try and contact us anytime. Love to hear from you. Thanks. Bye. Once ignored these conspiracies online. Out the window, visions of the earth. Sign me up now, make sure you use your smart.
This is 1050 AM, KCAA Loma Linda, and 106.5 FM, Yucaipa.
Redlands Blueprint and Commercial Printing Company has been serving the greater Inland Empire for over 60 years. For all of your printing needs, from full-color printing to high-speed copying and everything in between, go to Redlands Blueprint and Commercial Printing Company. Their staff is committed to your total satisfaction. Great service isn't just lip service at Redlands Blueprint and Commercial Printing Company. It's the way they do business year after year. Having trouble finding drafting supplies? Redlands Blueprint and Commercial Printing Company still carries a complete selection. Redlands Blueprint and Commercial Printing Company is rated high in customer satisfaction by Value Star, an independent rating company. For all of your personal or business printing, call Redlands Blueprint and Commercial Printing Company at 909-792-3478. That's 792-3478, or visit them on New York Street in Redlands off the I-10 and the Crosstown Freeway.